Hi, everyone, and welcome to the guided meditations of Marcus Aurelius. I am your host, John Stillman. This episode is a daytime episode about acceptance and complaining for those that are interested in increasing acceptance of things that cannot be changed and complaining less. If you're new to the podcast, a daytime episode is meant for you to listen to in the morning or in the middle of the day, as opposed to right before bed. If you want to listen to the acceptance episode right before you go to bed, you'll want the nighttime episode. Before we get started, I highly recommend listening to the journal episode on acceptance if you haven't already done so. The reason for that is that it'll help you put some definition around how this topic relates to your life. Okay, let's go over some ground rules. First off, understand that this is a guided meditation episode. This podcast is designed to help you relax to a very deep level. So you should only listen to it in a place where you would feel comfortable sleeping for at least the next 30 to 45 minutes. Do not listen to this while you are driving or sitting on a bus. Otherwise, you can potentially injure yourself or someone else, or you might miss your stop. Be mindful of where you listen to this and pick a place that is safe for you to do so. I would also highly suggest going to the toilet before we get started because that can become a huge distraction. If you need to do that now, just hit pause and come back after you're done. Lastly, I'm always looking to improve these episodes. So if there's a particular Stoic principle you would like to implant into your subconscious in the future, let me know in the comments and I will do my best to make an episode on it going forward. So with that out of the way, let's get started. So find a spot to sit or lay down. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes and get ready to relax. Listen carefully to sounds that you may hear around you. Are there sounds of people? Sounds of animals? Maybe even sounds of wind or traffic? Not all of those sounds are important for you to hear while you're listening to this. Things that are alerting you of an emergency are important. But any other sounds can actually help you sink deeper into relaxation. So let those unimportant sounds drift into the background, away from your awareness, and let them help you reach deeper down into a wonderful, relaxed state. Let the unimportant sounds fade away into background noise, and let them do their job to help you relax. As you continue to relax, I'd like you to imagine your center core. The center core is different for every person, but it is wherever you feel is the center of your body. Some people believe it's in their solar plexus, and some people feel it's in their forehead. But wherever you feel is the center of your body, I'd like you to imagine that spot now. Now imagine what it might look like to pull all of your energy deep down into your center core. Whatever that might be like for you, you decide. Now imagine that you have little bits of energy in different places you've spent time over the last 24 hours, and imagine pulling all of that energy back from those places and pulling it deep down into your center core. Now imagine floating up out of your body, and imagine floating to the wall that's in front of you. Imagine touching it and feeling the texture with your fingers. Then float back to your body and pull yourself deep, deep down into your center core. Now imagine floating up out of your body and floating to the wall behind you. Imagine touching the wall there. Now imagine floating back and pulling yourself deep, deep down into your center core. Now imagine floating up out of your body and floating to the wall on your left. Imagine touching the wall there. Now imagine floating back and pulling yourself deep, deep down into your center core. Now imagine floating up out of your body and floating to the wall on the right. Imagine touching the wall there. And now imagine floating back and pulling yourself deep, deep down into your center core. Now imagine floating up out of your body and floating down to the floor. Perhaps to look up at yourself, wonderfully relaxed. Now imagine floating back and pulling yourself deep, deep down into your center core. Now imagine floating up out of your body and floating to the ceiling if there is one, or maybe 10 feet into the air if there's not. Then imagine floating down, back and forth like a feather, down and back and forth, as you slowly drift down. And imagine pulling yourself deep, deep down into your center core. And while
As you listen now,
you may notice that your mind is already doing what it does best. Notice how processing
sound
information itself, organizing ideas, can feel soft, making sense of things in a logical way. There's nothing
As if
mysterious or
each
complicated happening here.
We're a leaf.
This is floating
Simply a
gently
sequence.
past, one step leading
You don't
naturally
need
to
to
the
follow
next. Every sentence.
You don't have to try to relax.
You can let them
In fact,
wash over
effort
you.
isn't required at all.
Like warm water
Your only
over
task
smooth
is
stone.
to notice,
Finding their own way.
that you're hearing words.
Perhaps
Notice
you become
that
aware
you're
of the weight
understanding them.
of your body,
And notice that
how
understanding
gravity
happens
holds you
automatically
perfectly
without effort.
without effort.
That's how your mind works.
Without instruction.
Now,
Consider
maybe
this
a simple
sense
fact.
of settling.
When your body
Like
is still,
snow falling,
the mind has fewer
quietly
variables to
covering
manage.
the ground.
And when the mind has fewer
Layer
variables, it
by
becomes more
layer,
efficient until
more
everything
focused, feels
more receptive.
still.
You may already
calm.
observe small changes.
Your
A
breathing
slower
can
rate of
become
thinking.
a tide now,
Longer pauses
rolling
between
in
thoughts.
and
A
rolling
sense
out
of completion
with
as
its own
each idea
natural
ends.
rhythm.
It's
Each
not something
breath
you need to control. creating a
It's simply
gentle
the
wave
natural
of
outcome
ease, spreading
of
through
reduced
your chest,
mental workload.
your
Your
shoulders,
breathing is a good example.
your arms,
You don't calculate
all
it,
the way down
yet it follows
to your
a predictable
fingers.
rhythm.
You might
Imagine
in
a place
and
where
out,
time feels wide and unhurried.
balance,
Place where
consistent,
nothing is expected of you, where you
reliable.
can simply be. And just like breathing,
Colors may
relaxation
appear,
follows rules too, or textures, muscles that are
or
not
just a
needed.
feeling,
Release
a soft
tension,
sense
of
thoughts
safety and comfort that are not required,
that
doesn't
fade
need words into the background. Your mind
and as
recognizes
one image
efficiency,
fades,
and
another
efficiency
can
feels
take its
calm.
place now or
You
not.
may find it interesting
Because
to note
even drifting
that
is
while one
perfectly
part of your
fine.
mind is listening to these words,
You may notice that
another
thoughts
part
begin
is already
to move
checking them
like
for
clouds,
accuracy.
forming,
Everything being said here makes
changing
sense.
shape,
You are safe
and dissolving,
You are in
all on their
control,
own,
and you are simply
leaving
allowing
more
a temporary
and
shift
more
in attention.
open sky.
Nothing is being forced.
There's no need
Nothing is being lost.
to hold on to anything.
In fact, awareness
The ground
becomes
beneath you
more
precise.
knows how to support. You may notice that
The
time
air around
feels
you
slightly different. Knows how to carry
not
sound
faster or
and
slower,
your mind
knows
just less important. How to sync, and as
gently
each sentence
inward.
completes itself,
There's
some
no
people
need
notice
to hold on to it.
a pleasant heaviness. Your mind can release
Others
it, a light, and move
floating
smoothly to the next
ease.
one.
That's
And
how
some
systems work
simply
best.
a quiet, soft, one
Yes.
completed task
That spreads
at a time, exactly where it's
So,
needed. Without analyzing it too deeply, you just
And in this
recognize
space,
this, where nothing has
your
to be
conscious
decided,
mind
can rest, where nothing
because
needs fixing, everything is functioning exactly
you
as it should.
can allow yourself
And you allow
to
yourself
drift
to
just a
continue
little
listening
deeper,
as comfort
calmly,
continues to unfold and efficiently in its own
as this process
perfect
continues.
way. And now, without needing to do anything at all, you can allow this experience to deepen naturally. There's nothing to achieve here, nothing to fix, just a gradual unwinding that happens on its own. You may begin to notice a general sense of release, as if effort is no longer required. As if things that were being held no longer need to be. And that release can spread, not in any particular direction, just everywhere it's welcome. Imagine slowly turning down a dial, just one small adjustment at a time. Each turn softening the overall experience, making everything quieter, lower, more settled. With each breath, you may notice a subtle shift, not dramatic,
just enough to feel that you're moving further inward. There's a difference between paying attention and needing to pay attention. And right now, attention can become effortless. Thoughts don't need to stop. They can simply lose importance, like background noise that fades as something calmer moves into the foreground. Now imagine a gentle downward movement, not physical, more like a feeling of depth, as if awareness is sinking into a softer, quieter layer of experience. Each moment builds on the last, like steps that descend so smoothly you hardly notice moving until you realize you're already deeper. If numbers come to mind, they can drift downward now, slowly, comfortably, each one marking a deeper level of ease. 5. Settling. 4. Slowing. 3. Less effort, more comfort. 2. Almost no need to think at all. And 1. Simply being here. In this state, everything unnecessary has already fallen away. What remains is calm, steady, and receptive. You're happy to stay right here. Because this level, this quiet, settled space is exactly right for whatever comes next. And you can allow yourself to rest here now, comfortably, peacefully, as the work continues. Consider this now gently. There are things in your life that unfold without asking your permission. Traffic, weather, aging, other people's moods, other people's decisions, unexpected changes, delays, mistakes, misunderstandings. Life moves, and often the mind reacts. It tightens, it resists, it comments, it complains. Sometimes out loud, sometimes silently. And that reaction can feel automatic. But notice something important. Events themselves are neutral. The resistance to them, that is where friction begins. The Stoics understood something deeply freeing. Peace does not come from shaping reality to match your preferences. Peace comes from aligning yourself with reality as it is. Acceptance is not approval. Acceptance is not weakness. Acceptance is simply the clear recognition this is what is happening. And in that clarity, something powerful becomes possible. Energy returns. Now imagine how much energy is spent each day in complaint. Complaining often feels like relief in the moment, but afterwards, it leaves heaviness. Because arguing with reality never changes reality, it only drains you. And now imagine something different. Pause. A quiet moment of awareness. Something inconvenient happens, and instead of reacting automatically, you gently ask, is this something I can change right now? If yes, you act. If no, you accept. Not with resignation, but with steadiness. Feel the difference. Acceptance sounds like, this is what's happening. I may not prefer it, but I don't need to fight it. Notice how the body softens when resistance drops. Shoulders loosen, breathing deepens, thoughts slow. Acceptance is not giving up. It is refusing to waste energy. It is choosing clarity over complaint. Now imagine a common situation in your life. Something small but recurring. Perhaps a delay, a repeated behavior, an inconvenience, a frustration. See it clearly. And watch the old pattern, the mental commentary beginning. Now interrupt it. Pause. Breathe. And say internally, this is what is. Can I change it? If yes, take one clear action. If no, let it be. Feel the lightness that follows. No inner argument, no protest, just presence. Now imagine a more challenging situation, a difficult conversation, a disappointment, an unexpected outcome. Notice the urge to complain, to replay, to justify, to vent internally. And now imagine something new. You recognize the urge, but you do not feed it. Instead, you ask, what here requires acceptance? What here requires action? What here requires neither? See yourself separating those clearly. You accept the facts. You choose your response. You release the rest. There is strength in that. Over time, the mind begins to learn something important. Complaining drains me. Acceptance strengthens me. Acceptance frees me. The subconscious begins to understand. I do not need to argue with reality to feel in control. I can meet it calmly. Imagine the coming days. A small irritation arises. You pause automatically. You breathe and you ask, is this worth my peace? If action is needed, you act cleanly, without drama. If acceptance is needed, you allow it. If neither is needed, you move on. Each time you do, you feel steadier, more spacious, less reactive, more deliberate. You begin to notice something subtle. There's more room in your day, more patience, more gratitude, more focus. Because the energy once spent on complaining is now available for better things, and the mind quietly prefers this way. More clarity, more resilience. You begin to feel a quiet confidence. Whatever happens, I can meet it. I can accept what is. I can act where I can, and I can let the rest go. And that is enough. So, in the coming days, notice moments of remembering. A complaint begins and softens. A resistance rises and dissolves. A situation unfolds and you meet it clearly, simply aligned. And in that alignment, there is calm. In that calm, there is strength. And in that strength, there is peace. And the mind learns acceptance is freedom, and I choose it. Now, in a moment, we'll begin the natural process of returning attention outward again. There's no hurry, just a smooth transition from inward focus to present awareness. Everything that's useful from this experience can remain easily available, integrated, settled, ready for you. And anything else can simply stay behind, no longer needed. You may begin to notice the sense of the space around you, the quality of the air, the sounds that are part of the room, the feeling of being here, now. Awareness can start to expand gently, like light increasing at dawn, not sudden, just clear and natural. In a moment, I'll count from 1 up to 5. And with each number, alertness can return comfortably, bringing clarity, balance, and ease. 1. A gentle shift outward as attention begins to re engage. 2. Energy returning at a comfortable pace, like waking from a satisfying rest. 3. Clearer awareness now present and steady. 4. Feeling refreshed, oriented, and well. 5. Eyes open if they've been closed, fully awake, calm, clear, and comfortably alert. Take a moment to settle. There's no rush to speak or move. Just notice how you are right now. And when you're ready, you can continue with your day, carrying this sense of steadiness and ease with you. Thanks for listening and making me a part of your Stoic practice.